Yo, what's going on guys? RBG here bringing you another video on Spider-Man. I know you guys are probably burnt out on hearing me talk about this character, but there's just so much to break down in regards to how Sony is going about marketing him. And there have been some very interesting things that have taught us a valuable lesson in terms of how Spidey should be utilized in video games, which we're going to talk about today. Now before we dive balls deep into today's topic, I want to remind you guys how you can groom your balls with today's sponsor, manscaped.com. That's right, it's a new year, which means it's a new you. Like, we're coming up on the month of love, and there's a lot to fall in love with at manscaped.com, including the Performance Package 4.0, your all-in-one head-to-toe men's grooming and hygiene kit. Let's check it out. One of the latest additions to this awesome package is the Weed Whacker nose and hair trimmer. I mean, nothing's worse than going in for a kiss and worrying about unruly nose hairs sticking out. Am I right, fellas? And I can't forget about the new and improved Lawnmower 4.0, which is completely waterproof and cordless with advanced skin-safe technology, so I no longer have to worry about nicking my coin purse. For a limited time only, you'll also get 2 free gifts, the Shed Travel Bag and the Manscaped Anti-Chafing Boxer Briefs. Whatever your relationship status is this Valentine's Day, remember to take care down there with Manscaped. You can start by going to manscaped.com and using my promo code RandomGamer to get 20% off plus free international shipping plus 2 free gifts. Your balls will thank you, and if you're lucky that night, your Valentine's date will thank you as well. But as I was saying guys, it's been a pretty solid year for Spider-Man. No matter what form of media he was expected to make his appearance in, it was highly anticipated, and Marvel's Avengers was one of them. Now, although this game has had its fair share of polarizing events since it launched back in September of last year, it managed to stay relevant thanks largely in part to Sony's collaboration to include the web slinger for the PS4 and PS5 versions of the game. It was this business move that had many wondering why would Square risk ostracizing players who don't own those consoles, and how could it stack up to Insomniac's version of Spider-Man. The original Marvel Spider-Man received a remaster for the PS5 last year, complete with visual improvements from new assets, refined lighting, and ray tracing. And to this day, many fans have deemed it superior even to that of Marvel's Avengers Spider-Man. Now granted, Insomniac obviously had more time to work on one character as opposed to Crystal Dynamics, who were tasked with working on multiple characters. Things like web swinging are features that simply can't be harped on as much as they would in a single-player open sandbox game like Marvel Spider-Man. Marvel's Avengers isn't any of that, it's an online service game. So if anyone were to draw comparisons, they'd have to put it up against something from that specific genre. And lo and behold, they did, and it was like clockwork. Shortly after Square Enix released their version of the wall crawler, Epic Games showed off their iteration of Spidey, and this one caused a big debate. Twitter user Yazin shared a video showing off Fortnite's version of Spider-Man's web slinging using new web shooters. As you see, his character is dressed up as Spider-Man and is seen dynamically swinging through the skies using various objects with a surprising amount of fluidity. And as you'd expect, fans quickly compared the web swinging to this version to that of Marvel's Avengers, with multiple users sharing the opinion that Epic Spider-Man is vastly superior in terms of animations and movement. A user by the name of Killer Tacos 54 said, and I quote, "After Fortnite did such a great job, you can't defend the awful web swinging in Marvel's Avengers." And a user by the name of ItBurns108 asked, "How does Fortnite have a better Spider-Man than Avengers?" So as you hear, Fortnite SpiderMan had the fans looking at Avengers Spider-Man sideways, which is totally understandable. Marvel's Avengers Spider-Man, particularly his traversal, leaves a lot to be desired. Even though the web swinging is reminiscent to that of the Amazing Spider-Man, it isn't quite as fun, which is sort of surprising because the TASM games came out a little over a decade ago. Although you were swinging from invisible clouds as opposed to building surfaces, it still felt satisfying. Not to mention it wasn't extremely slow like Marvel's Avengers Spider-Man, who comes with a very limited amount of animations and clunky ones at that. All he does is these awkward spins and the occasional flip. But the swinging animations for Fortnite have been surprisingly good, and this is coming from someone who isn't a fan of the game. If I'm gonna be honest with you, I always felt like this is one of those franchises that only cared about making enough money off of those special guest characters, and it didn't necessarily care about putting any effort into the way they played. But based on some of the things I've seen with the mythic web shooters, it has been very impressive. Some players have even remarked that the web slinging featured in Fortnite trumps the same action in the Insomniac titles, with many of them suggesting that the Marvel Spider-Man team could take a leaf out of Fortnite's book when it comes to the representation of one of Spider-Man's iconic actions. What I appreciate the most about the swinging is that the web's attached to any and everything. People always use the excuse that if there aren't any tall buildings around, Spidey is pretty much useless in terms of web swinging. But the devs over at Epic Games proved that that wasn't the case. It could be something as small as a house and you can still swing from it without losing any momentum. Like, that seems to have been a primary focus for the devs, allowing Spider-Man to move as fast as possible without slowing him down. One thing that really caught me off guard was the fact that you can actually latch on to moving vehicles. That's something that has never been done in any Spider-Man game, or at least to my knowledge it hasn't. The only thing we've seen in past titles such as Marvel Spider-Man is an interactive quick-time event where you jump on top of a speeding car, and depending on the animation you may see Spider-Man attempt to pull the car with his webbing. But it's nothing like Fortnite where you actually get to hang onto a moving vehicle and drift from side to side whenever you so please. Seeing something like this only adds even more insult to Marvel's Avengers Spider-Man, which players have already shown how disappointing he can be. Although he's shown to be effective against low-level enemies, he's pretty much useless against bosses. Like, his main go-to maneuvers usually revolve around takedowns, but since bosses such as Taskmaster and Abomination don't have a takedown prompt, they can't be exploited like the usual aim soldier or robot. It's crazy how this character initially got fans hyped when Marvel's Avengers was first announced at 2019's E3. Meanwhile, Fortnite's version just came out of nowhere and caught everyone's attention. The Spider-Man animations in Fortnite have undoubtedly given players hope for the action-packed new chapter, and there's still plenty more to come. While the animations for Marvel's Avengers, on the other hand, have pretty much killed any excitement fans have for other potential web slingers such as Miles Morales making it into the game. Whatever character Crystal decides to include next, I hope they spend their time wisely to make the features that said character is known for fun, like Epic Games did for their version of Spider-Man. Something that I noticed way before they even revealed their version of the webhead is that they had been on a roll with other Marvel heroes during their Season 4 crossover event. Players mentioned how features such as the Iron Man hands felt and sounded just like the blasters from the movies. Believe it or not, a representative of Epic Games reached out to me to do a dedicated video to their Season 4 Marvel event, but I turned it down because I felt like it didn't fit the type of content I produce, and I felt it wouldn't have the same pedigree as that of Marvel Avengers. Fast forward a year later and I'm here eating crow. It's almost as if they managed to make a better Avengers game without even trying, compared to good old Crystal Dynamics, who has yet to gain their momentum with their own Avengers game. But anyways guys, what are your thoughts on this? Do you feel like Crystal Dynamics will eventually redeem themselves of all the missteps they've made with Marvel's Avengers? Or do you think they'll continue their descent into disappointment until they ultimately lose what little support they already have? Let me know down in the comments below. As always, I ask you like or dislike the video. It doesn't have to be a thumbs up, it can be a thumbs down. But if you really enjoyed it, I would appreciate it if you shared with all your friends and followers on different social media outlets. Sharing really makes a difference. But once again, this is your boy RBG signing out on another video. I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.